Like, comment, and subscribe to J New Orleans.
Life is a bowl of wonder. Life is a bowl of wonder. It holds enjoyment, indifference, mystery, pain, confusion, discovery, enlightenment, and everything in between. One of the biggest keys I've discovered in navigating that bowl is understanding. Real understanding is neutral. It is the ability to take something apart without panic, inspect its purpose, inspect its damage, inspect its value. That is what emotional regulation became for me. And what emotional regulation really is, not suppression, not pretending nothing bothers me, not trying to cosplay as some invincible stoic statue. Emotional regulation, in my experience, is the restoration of a relationship with self. It is understanding that emotions are indicators, not commandments. It is realizing frustration is information. It is tracing the feeling instead of becoming the feeling. So, like, if anger comes in, I connect to the reason of why anger was my response to that particular action. Is it a repeat thing? Is it an issue with the person in question? Is it something that triggered me from a past traumatic experience? Those types of things really matter. And it is noticing that anger, fear, envy, embarrassment, shame, and even excitement all have a voice, but not all of them deserve the microphone. That shift changed how I view life. I no longer see emotional maturity as some luxury trait. I see it as basic survival equipment that should be taught as early as language. Like, it really needs the same importance of all of the things that we learned in school, because the life experience a person has, especially as an adult, emotionally unregulated, and especially living in close proximity to other people, or your daily life includes interacting with people throughout the day. That's suicide. It's insanity. Like, it really is something that should not be happening, but we see it all too often. And that's why so many people are in so many different binds that they got themselves into looking for comfort. And then comfort turned into addiction, or it turned into crime, or it turned into a toxic connection with somebody. And why society rarely practices it. Society treats emotional regulation like a mythical creature. It gets talked about, praised, reposted, turned into quotes, but someone actually demonstrates it in real life. People often respond with discomfort. Calm unnerves reactive environments. Discernment irritates chaos. A person who does not automatically match the energy of the room can make an emotionally unstable room feel exposed. This is one of the first lessons emotional regulation taught me. It is not my duty to become a mirror for everybody else's dysfunction. Short of physical danger, I do not owe the world my reactivity. And the emotionally unstable room, that can happen at work. Whenever jobs, they have work gossip or news that you already knew was coming based off of the patterns you saw, or a person with a pattern of doing something at work is finally caught for it. When everyone else is all up in arms, making it seem like it's hot news and oh my God, when you're there, like, okay, people start looking like, well, okay, why aren't you shocked, or why aren't you upset, or why aren't you mad? Because it's not that serious. And even if it meant something to me, it's no reason for me to be outwardly showing emotions. Like, the equivalent of being emotionally unregulated is as if every room in your house, all of the light switches, if they were outside, if you lived on the first floor. So instead of you being able to turn the light on while you in the room, you have to go outside to turn the light on, which means people passing your house could turn your lights on and off in the middle of you doing stuff, or animals could mistakenly turn your lights on and off. When you are emotionally dysregulated, like many people are, because it's normal, you are able to be upset by what a person knows bothers you, which usually, if you're religious, a person committing blasphemy can upset you. If you of an ethnic group, a person using the slurs for your group can upset you. If you if you speak a certain language, a person mimicking that can upset you, or if you in public, a person bumping you could lead to you becoming violent with them. But if the person wanted to set you up anyway because they had something bigger waiting for you, and they just needed to get you started so they can pretend they defending themselves, which we see that all of the time. And this regulation begins early. The developmental years matter. The first environment matters. People around the child matter. Emotional weather inside a home matters. A child enters the world showing their nature, but groups begin sanding down anything labeled weird. Family, neighborhood, school, class status, insecurity, religion, internet culture, and survival pressure. All of it starts negotiating with identity. The individual learns what gets approval, what gets mocked, what gets them included, what gets them abandoned. And if the environment is emotionally unhealthy, the lessons become dangerous. And that's why when you look on social media, you see all of the dysfunctional behaviors done in groups. Or if it's not a group in the particular pieces of media that's being shared, you can see multiple people doing it in different areas as if it's like some type of understood method of living or something like that. And performance replaces identity. Instead of actually becoming the goal, like how people want to be rich or people want to be a business owner, they want to be a good parent or want to have a good relationship, instead of actually working to build it with a healthy foundation, they do the best that they can to look like they have it. So you learn to perform instead of become. You learn to look stable instead of be stable. You learn image maintenance before self awareness. You learn that appearing successful is more important than thinking strategically. You learn that loneliness is failure. You learn that being single is deficiency. Friendships are social proof. Criticism is disrespect. Discomfort is danger. Emotion is evidence. And that is how people become adults who live reactively and call it authenticity. And it's especially this satisfying to see men who use anger as their badge of honor, pretend as if that's some type of power play, when being in a state of anger is one of the most dangerous states you could be in, not only for yourself but for people around you. And for yourself, it's dangerous because you're liable to do something that could further do damage to your life that can't be repaired. It's a lot of people in jail all around the world out of anger. Anger is why they're in jail. They may not have even had a record before that, but with the anger, they were able to do something that was so bad that with no record, they're doing life in jail or doing 20 years in jail. Or some people don't have their lives. Like people doing things, distracted driving. I'm gonna take shots at that in every video, but distracted driving, but also being in a car with people where either the passenger or the driver is arguing with the passenger or the driver, and out of anger they pull the steering wheel or they jump out the car. Like people let anger gas them up so much, like a rocket, like if they about to shoot off out of space, and they literally do things that can't be taken back. Words is one thing because that's just as important. Parents have said, a lot of parents say evil and dirty things to their children, especially if it's a single parent and the other parent is absent, or if it's a parent that have multiple child's parents, mothers or fathers. They love being mad and throwing in the child's face that their particular parent is not there, or they gonna be just like their parent, and that's a scar that a lot of people who probably not shit today were, like, and that's what really make it sad. And as much as I want to feel bad for all ancient people, because it's a hard knock life for a bum, but a lot of people who live that life, they develop sinister habits to where you really can't even be around them kind of people. They so sneaky, shisty, and some of them think that they can manipulate, which manipulation works for the people they used to being around, but I could see it from 3 miles away. But those kinds of people living in that type of environment, they be so ingrained at being grimy that even if you give them a home, a car, you give them an unlimited bank account, they will still find a way to double cross you. They will either take your life. If it's a person, if you have a lover, that person will probably try to sleep with your lover. They might try to get you shut down, or just like this one example I knew of was this lady at Circuit City who got the other manager fired so she could get the position. And what she ended up doing was she had the manager stealing for her, and then she reported the manager, and the manager got arrested, so they didn't care that she was a part of it, and she ended up with the job. So reactive adulthood, how emotional dysregulation shows up in adulthood. Then the fallout starts. Some people become trapped in cycles because of unstable work, always needing a new job because every correction feels like a personal attack. Others stay too long in dead job roles, shrinking into shells of themselves just to survive, getting older in environments they have long outgrown. Then a lot of them get to the point where they supervisor or their manager is younger than them, and they take an ego hit every time they get corrected because they feel like, how this youngster could tell me what to do? I've been here for X amount of years. But that's not cool that you've been there X amount of years and you didn't level up. So of course, somebody coming in the game that's a position to be above you, they're not going to respect the fact that you a 20-year entry level employee. They just look at the fact that they're your manager. Not to mention, people bring stuff to work that they don't have at home. If a person doesn't have control at work or at home, they bring it to work. Vice versa. People who get messed over at work come home and mess over their family members. It's like a give and take. That's why you have to become emotionally regulated to keep work at work and keep home at home. The two should never mix. If home is too bad, you need to call off work or do whatever you need to do, but you do not need to be bringing that to nobody's job, especially if y'all have the general public you dealing with. You passing that illness and that anger and that sickness on to other people, making other people feel a certain way, even though they might already have what they have going on. And that unprocessed tension spills everywhere. It spills into driving, it spills into romantic relationships, it spills into parenting, it spills into money, it spills into friendships, religion, and into the comment section. You can definitely tell when people are miserable in the comment section because emotionally unregulated people are so bad at hiding what they're going through their own statements that if you really read with comprehension or look at the context of what's being said, and especially if the person is commenting multiple times or you see their interaction with people, you can always read in between the lines, but you got to be emotionally literate to read between the emotional lines. Otherwise it's just going to be guessing, assumptions, or you picking up on stuff off the internet and trying to apply that to every situation because it's a new concept that you trying to work into your own memory. And the individual either begins a never-ending journey of always needing a new job or become a shell of themselves to hold one position they have long outgrown. This stagnation can create a miserable life. As the individual is dealing with the ebbs and flows of the same company for years, there comes a time where all of the people they report to are younger than them, sometimes with less experience or knowledge. This means that every workday is another day just to make ends meet. Not to mention, people underestimate the amount of mental energy we use every day. Even if you are an introvert and you just live by yourself, having to navigate throughout your home or wherever you navigate and getting out the bed, making sure that you remember all your daily processes. So you couple that in with people having families they got to take care of, or other people are living in shared spaces. Some people may sleep in vehicles. You already starting the day off in the negative. So then, thanks to cell phone addiction, you already start with the cell phone and you already in overdraft, but the cell phone has sent you into a deeper overdraft because now your brain has started the dopamine chase, like Pac-Man. Like every time you scroll on social media to the point of where every time something in you scrolling again, you didn't enter Pac-Man area because now you're looking for the little thick dots that make the other dots turn into dots. But anyways, and then you go to work, you have to deal with people there. You may have a manager who is unreliable. You may be in work drama. You may be someone who's trying to stay to yourself, and people at work always picking on you, allegedly. Get a lawyer, sue them. But you you have so much energy that you got to deal with throughout the day. Not to mention, some people have multiple jobs. Some people go to school. Some people are currently experiencing breakups or recent deaths. So all of this energy you're using just to exist. This don't include you talking to people or you participating in gossip, which all that does is just make you more miserable because now with work gossip, it's a reminder that the workplace is a miserable place. It's not looking at y'all benefits that nobody uses, the good dental, the good medical, that 1-800 number that is in the break room that everybody ignores at the job that you should start calling is in addition to getting an attorney if your job is really toxic, because suing your job for a toxic workplace is not you running up anything or you doing anything negative. If it was, it wouldn't be legal. And if it was, you would have to lie. You wouldn't be able to tell the truth about what these people really doing to you and see that a court really sides with you or that the company is so afraid they immediately trying to do a settlement deal so that they don't take a hit on their reputation if it hits court. So I say all that to say people like with emotional regulation, you're going to be more mindful of what drains you. You're going to know right now you're at baseline, but every time Susie call, you start feeling low, and then you have to dissect that. Is it the is Susie rude? No, Susie's nice. But what happens is Susie always have a problem, and doesn't. Susie always want to talk about the problem, but then Susie is not seeing the pattern that Susie has, and then Susie is also constantly asking you for unsolicited, well, for free advice that should be charged because your advice is so fire. Word to Jeremiah, and eventually you realize it's just disheartening because it's not the fact that Susie's not listening to you, it's that you have somebody in your life that you care about, and you having to witness them be miserable, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's where it comes to knowing that with emotional regulation, self love is not too far away. So if you have self love, you're going to love yourself more to stop draining yourself dealing with Susie miserable ass. Are you going to realize in traffic when you want to brake check somebody or honk them into oblivion with your horn, thinking about the fact that if that person is pulling off, you don't ever have to deal with them again. But if you engage in road rage with them, you may end up dead or they may end up dead. Like and it may be something that is not. So I could go on and on. Ironically, this may be one of the shorter videos though, recent videos, because yeah. Let's see. And driving, public behavior, and everyday spillover. It does not stop there. These individuals have a hard time driving because all the built up frustration tends to spill over into their driving. They quickly escalate vehicular misunderstandings and rarely consider their passengers or the safety of other people when they explode. These are also the people who in public will litter or make a scene and angrily look around for onlookers. The extended period of no emotional regulation has made this person normalize reactive living. The best place to see that is at the gym. At the gym, at the gym. To all of the people who want to join gyms, you have free will. However, I will tell you, I hope that your expectations are for personal reasons and not for aesthetics, not thinking that that is the answer to everything. Because with the gym, you need to, when you're a beginner, you should learn the peak times for your location because it's different everywhere. Some places, 5 o'clock, it looked like the club. Other places, 5 o'clock, it looked like the Mojave Desert. So it just depends. Like, and this is someone who has been to multiple chains by different gym companies in different states and cities and stuff. And every city and state have a whole different gym vibe. Like New Orleans probably has the one of the most unique, to say the least, experiences when it comes to gym culture out here. Like the type of people that go to the gym regularly out here and the stuff that they do in the gym is just, yeah. But at the gym, the people who not emotionally regulated, they tend to throw weights everywhere. You see a lot of paper towels. They will see the people, the one or two people who work there, usually be small women or maybe men, but they usually not fit people that work at the gym. They just be people who trying to make money and they minding their business. They gotta pick up after all of these people who will look at them cleaning up and still litter. Cause they emotional. They don't care. All that caffeine, steroids, or whatever other injections people be doing and hammered faces they be doing. But that's a good place to see people be emotional because there is like the people not real. That's the best way I could say it. I'll do another video in the future eventually because it's so many videos that's in the queue for me to do, but it's like I'm not here for money, but I'm also not about to spend all my time doing nothing for free. You know what I'm saying? So I try to keep it balanced. But internet behavior and emotional groupthink. Everything is based off feeling to them. Facts mean nothing if it did not sound right or was not stated in the right tone. Individuals without emotional regulation see the internet as an emotional Six Flags. Every article, post, video, story receives dramatic reception, whether it be good or bad. These usually it's bad stuff. I rarely see people spreading good news and seeing a bunch of videos about good news. It's usually somebody dying or some type of scandal. That's all. The thing is, emotionally dysregulated people pick their own truth and there is no clearing it up. Once they find others who validate their disbelief, it is near impossible to change their mind. And we see it all the time on the internet. It's so easy to do it, but honestly, it's really nothing that I can say anymore because I'm at the point of realizing that majority of these things that I could say about society in areas of improvement or that people say about pretty much anything when it comes to other people is knowing that a lot of these things people are really just programs. Like they not even a person because they haven't had a long time to be the unique person who we all are. Like our fingerprints are unique. We all, when we untapped, are unique and different from each other. We have similarities, connections, and common goals, but so many people have been cloned through all of the content they watch. So this type of song influences them to do this, and then this particular influencer influences them to dress like this, and then this other person got them eating this and doing these different things and wearing their hair and nails like this. That's why so many people feel like clones now because is multi-layered copying now. At one point, you people might copy clothing style from one person, and then everybody do it their own little way. And then they might get tattoos based off of another person, but then they do it their own little way. Like how when people was getting baby fat tattoos, they were getting them in different places. So yes, it was the same idea, but you might see a baby fat tattoo on the wrist, you might see it on the ear. It was the same thing. But now when it comes to being influenced by so many people who put it in and they put in positions by people like what's funny is that everyone in the working class swear that they hate all of the rich people and all of the millionaire people, but everybody you idolize was sent to you by those people. Like is really nothing that you hear, save for indie artists, that wasn't chosen for you to hear it. So it's like the way all of these different layers of influences work from music to video games to things like that is by design and it's based off the fact that most people live unconsciously. Their emotions fuel their life. There are legit people, and I've experienced them, that if they're having a good day in their mind because they feel happy, they are a whole different person from who they are on a regular day, which is it's always, oh, it's just trying to make it, just trying to make ends meet. Like they always have these slavery mantras that they repeat, even though their actions don't match it. Because yes, the person may have kids or may take care of people, and yes, they may have a job that is stressful. But when you look at these people are not responsible. People not keeping their homes clean, they not keeping their cars clean, they don't do maintenance on their cars, they don't they not cooking whether they know how to or not, they not trying to learn. They, they don't even read anything because quiet as it's kept, the reason why a lot of people don't have financial literacy, and I had to think about when I was saying on another video about how I did the journey and people just watch. Baby, people are afraid to tell y'all. People, a lot of people y'all know and that I know are illiterate, and the signs are there. The signs are there with the comment section. It's only so many typos under the sun that you could get off without you just being illiterate. Like a typo still means that the words before and after still have sense to it. Like, I don't know what language people are making up now, but my thing is, y'all want to be in areas that require knowledge. In order to write a comment, you have to know how to communicate. Otherwise, your message gonna be lost unless it's somebody who is just as dumb as you are. But the fact that people never took education seriously, still don't take education for their offspring seriously, even though everybody swears we're giving the children better childhood than we had, but y'all probably way worse. Because at least that's one thing about the '90s parents that I knew that were sane is that they made their children eat vegetables. Baby, the kids don't even know what water is these days. But anyways, drifting off on my point, but I'm coming back in. When when it comes to the people that want this sympathy and how people automatically give each other sympathy for struggling and treat yourself and all of this other stuff, it's the blind leading the blind. And unfortunately, it's no video that someone is going to make that's going to change that. These people have to make these changes on their own. You see it all of the time. Old content resurfaces and goes viral because people finally decided to agree with it. It'll be something that when it first came out, everybody got dragged. Or like the man that that man who did the police interview and was saying all of this stuff about Diddy about 5, 6 years ago. It was like everybody was saying he was crazy, lock him up. None of that makes sense. Look at how it aged. So it's like when it comes to all of these different people, we can notice everything about them. We can notice stuff about our friend, our lover, our mom, our auntie. But if we're not truly willing to just either not necessarily deal with it, but deal with it with intention, limit it. Like you could try boundaries, but boundaries do not work on unregulated people. Like you definitely can't introduce it as boundaries. The only way a boundary could work on an unregulated person is you have to either withhold the truth or you have to lie to them. So if you tired of them calling you after 9 o'clock, you can't say, hey, I decided to start going to bed earlier. No, they're not gonna respect that. You can't say, hey, I think that it's inappropriate you call me after 9. No, they're gonna argue with you and say who you think you are, or they're gonna try to throw something back at you, or you just the typical thing. But if you say, "Oh, I started studying for this online thing," or if it's a broke person, don't say nothing about money. But if it's somebody who never asked you for money, if you just tell them, "Oh, you start a job in the morning or something," or just whatever, you literally be having to do that with these people. And with these people too, they swear that, "Oh, you could have just told them when you stopped telling them stuff." But every time you've tried to talk to them, it's never worked. It's always turned into something bigger. So that's why honestly the door slam is what a lot of people be needing. But if self-love develops, them relationships wouldn't last because a lot of people really do not develop self-love. They just, love is one of the most lied on things on this planet. Like the word is used in spaces that it's never been in. People do not be having love who be talking about love and telling people that they love them. They be full of hate, opportunistic, is really going to let them go at the first inconvenience or when the resources run out. So with self-love, it would be nearly impossible to continue connections with people who harmed you or continue to harm you or who breadcrumb you, who really just you just there, but you like everything to them. Anything they need, they could call. If they need to crash somewhere, you got it. If they need a ride, you got it, type stuff. And those are the people who really try to play on love, emotions, and however many years it's been to keep the connection. And one thing I noticed when I began regulation is that my feelings and logic both have voices, but I only have one mouth. So when I speak, I need to identify which part of me is speaking. In emotionally dysregulated people, it is easy as one plus one to know which voice is in charge. They accidentally have emotions as their default setting. Religion, influence, and emotional control. The scary part is when you give an emotionally dysregulated person religion, they are among the easiest to control. We see it's all over the internet, especially mega churches. In some cases, I have seen people go against their own religion, supporting certain behaviors because the manipulator virtue signaled religion and built the connection with them before having them to do their bidding. That is the danger of emotion without self awareness. A person can be moved by the feeling of goodness while participating in something destructive. And that is why words mean things, but actions mean more. Like, we really think that what things mean to us mean it to everyone else. Like a lot of artists and movie people or public figures. To many of us, they're probably just who they are, just an actor or just this person or somebody who's entertaining. But to a lot of people, if you have not noticed, the way that these people view a lot of the public figures, past and present, is on the level of the way that a person would protect their religion or that they would protect their family crest. So for a lot of you, I know, I mean, unless you trolling and you having fun with just having arguments or just getting a rise out of people, you know what you're doing. But if you're a regular person and you thinking that when you're telling a person something, you're doing the right thing, you're not. You have to leave people up to their own devices. Unless it is a person that you have some type of creative control over where they listen to you or you can influence them, you literally just putting your finger in the ant pile and thinking the ant's gonna move out the ant pile because you interrupted it. No, they're gonna attack your finger. And that's exactly what people do whenever you speak on anybody that they feel like is that type of person. For me, I don't, and it's not even abnormal because a lot of the people online don't realize that they have their own version of that. Like a person may not do it with no one in Hollywood and no one in the music industry, but then they're like that with NFL, or they're like that with NBA, or they're like that with gambling, or they're like, or they're like that with sports cars and all of these tricky upgrades, even though your house is non-existent. So it's like this is just human nature, and when you look at history, it's been in different forms. It's just now with the internet, people are becoming aware and are sharing it in real time with other people, and also people are becoming more aware of books that can help with the process. But the masses are always going to do what the masses do. The best thing that people can do is just lead by example. Trying to change the direction of the people, that's not going to happen. Like, you might could tame one kitten, but you can't go in a group of lions and think that you could take them home with you. And let's see. Scams, nostalgia, and feelings over facts. Another downfall of emotionally unregulated individuals is not heeding warnings. They have this built in idea that they're the exception to every scenario. This is why things can be publicized as scams and people will still participate for the feeling. Businesses known for overpricing and under delivering still succeed because emotionally unregulated people give cult support to things that have nostalgia attached to them or a belief attached to them. They do not always buy the product. Sometimes they buy the feeling around the product. And if you are the one to try to tell them about that, you are a hater. Why are you hating? So just keep your mouth closed. Like the stuff that people should speak up about are the things pertaining to health, healing, and safety of yourself and others. But what people choosing to do in destruction of their own life, that is their right. Like, especially when it comes to healthy things and unhealthy things, or people, whatever people may preach about, if you given the information, give it in a manner as if it's a person who's new, who is interested. Stop trying to give it as if you're preaching to people. The same way that people feel like Christians try to minister to people too much, or the people that knock at the door and everybody ignore them, that's exactly what people are doing when you constantly take other people content and try to put them on display like you critiquing them. You That's not our place to do that, because I've never seen a person do that to people, and when it's done to them they take it lying down. Like, you is literally a hypocritical thing to do anyway. Now if you see example, like how some people take relationships, celebrity relationships, and then do the psychology of it or do all of the red flags, that's actually healthy, because that's something that everyone can look at and implement it in their own life, versus just the preaching to that actual person. That's delusional. People don't give a fuck. And it's easier for people to say you attacking them. Y'all don't see how every time a person says something online, it's immediately turned to hate. That is why, baby, they can't get me to mention nobody, because I don't hate on, or even care much that matter. And long as their life is not impacting me or the future generation, I don't care. And as far as it impacting the future generation, baby, the reason why stuff impact kids is because the parents ain't impact them first. The parents are the first role models for everything. When they don't have sufficient role modeling done in the child's brain, the brain itself is going to fill it up with whatever is the nearest thing. And even adults do that. A lot of the arrested development adults, you see people 30, 40 years old keep switching their aesthetics up to the people that they're around, trying to fit in. Like, it's a normal thing in the grand scheme of things, because for a while majority of society was retarded. There was no education for society. Like, you had to be a person of importance to have an education, or you had to have some type of significance, or your family had to make some kind of sacrifice. So it's amazing that education is as free as it's ever been. I'm not talking about college either. But yeah, so, and relationships, breakups, and toxic loyalty. Emotionally unregulated people often have explosive breakups throughout life and regularly have to walk back statements because their calm brain does not support what was produced in the heat of the moment. They see no room for growth because they and many unregulated like them give cute nicknames to toxic behaviors. They also blindly follow traditions, hold on to long dead relationships for the look of loyalty, and maintain harmful bonds because they fear the image of separation more than the image of the damage of staying. It's even more alarming when you see people who have emotional dysregulation, and when they do have a moment of anger, it's like they time travel to whatever traumatic moment they reliving, and they looking at you like if you were a completely different person. That's happened a few times. That is why when it comes to people in the wild, baby, by all means, in safe environments, have your little kikis with people. If you want to talk to people at the grocery store, they want to talk to you. But just do not be answering personal details. Stop freely telling people where y'all work at. Stop freely telling people what you do every day and what time it is, because that is very dangerous. No matter what the gender is, you don't know what organization they with, because there are some there's a lot of them out there, and that's why you don't hear about a lot of missing people, because it's a lot of known organizations doing their thing and it's not to be interrupted. Just make sure you don't be a part of it. But have your kiki with people, but stop trying to take everybody home. Stop trying to make everybody a friend. Like, letting that first impression trick you that this person is just like you. You don't know what that person could have been standing at wherever you met them and been watching you and peeped your stilo and just mimicking you to you to do that. Like, learn how to Do if you don't want to, I don't expect people to just sit alone with their legs crossed in the middle of the floor in a vacant apartment and call that meditation. But at least start doing things within your household, in your home, in your life, wherever you live, in your phone. You can start with your phone because everyone who has access to YouTube, I would assume, has some type of phone like device. I will hope you're not watching that at the library. That'd be so boring to only have 1 hour a day. But anyways, like, to clean up your phone, clean out your files, clean out real files, organize stuff, look through old pictures. If you have a scanner, scan the pictures, the physical pictures you have in case anything happened. Or if you have a phone, they have scanner mode on all phones now with a camera. So you can do that. Like, you can do different things in your life and start getting a connection with yourself. Because what I noticed, and I've been a part of at one point, was it's so easy to run out of a dirty house to go to somebody's birthday, or run out of a dirty house to go be here for this person and be there for that person. But you always running to leave the house. But if you actually took care of the house, you wouldn't mind leaving. You would stay. Like, it wouldn't be too hard to leave. You actually would get to a point to where you probably would prefer being at home more because you would see the benefits of peace. And I find emotionally unregulated people are often hypocrites. They will make family, friends, and coworkers miserable with their excessive judgment, only to later be found complicit in the same behaviors. Catching them in the act will not necessarily change anything because they already justified it in their head. Typically, they will use some form of salvation, excuse, or technicality to show that they are forgiven. They shame publicly what they negotiate privately. And that's the crazy thing, because a lot of the times I've seen people be judgmental, and their sinfulness credit score is way low, much lower than the person they judging. It's just whatever sin is in question that's on display, and all of the things that they do that made they score lower is not on Front Street. It's like, if you know, you know. But honestly, if you start seeing how projection work, like, the main people who can see things call out, and then everybody always got to come back later and say, "Oh, that person was right." It's because the writing is on the wall. That's all I'll say about that. And catching them in the act will not necessarily change anything because they already justified it in their head. They shame publicly what they negotiate privately. Parenting, family damage, and generational cycles. They often become parents that are dictators who do not apologize, who use childbirth as a right of ownership over their children, who sweep abuse under the rug, who sell the lie that they did the best they could, and often hope one of the children will become their meal ticket to a better life. The irony is they often were selfish parents who trauma dumped on their kids, used them as emotional punching bags, and called it chastising. Resisted being active in school and education, and then later wonder why the child distanced themselves. That is how emotional dysregulation becomes generational. And some people just pass it on like nothing. They don't even second guess the toxicity they grew up in. And a lot of them end up growing up in the same toxic neighborhoods that they were raised in to raise their children the same way. It's not until kids start dying or things start happening that people even question it. And then they quickly go back to being on autopilot because that's just the way that everything worked. A life built of luxury and comfort and chasing good feelings, happy feelings, hit ass. Like, that's what happens. Like, the whole survival instinct that people had that got people through thousands of years of humanity, tens of thousands, and all of that other stuff is gone now for some people. The emotionally unregulated person often struggles with responsibilities that require strategizing, gratitude, growth, and ownership. Many cycle through debt and bad debt because they repeat the habits of their parents and their environment. They believe the right amount of money could make them happy, and media has milked that idea forever. If they are raised in poverty, they are often subconsciously taught that as long as look the part, you can claim the role. If you want to be rich, you must spend what you do not have to give the image of having it. Or even the poverty cycle of people allowing people in poverty to purposely run down areas because over the long term that's going to make them millions, maybe hundreds of millions, because by the time the people impoverished people done running it down, it's worth $1, and then they buy it, and now and it's the cycle just keeps repeating, but nobody ever realizes they're a part of the cycle. Like poverty is one thing, but unless you barely have money and that's your form of poverty, I'm not speaking on that, and I never will speak on people who barely have money because that's rude as hell. But for the people who misappropriate funds but live in the same areas of the impoverished people, like I mentioned in another video, because it's easier to shine on them, is no threat because you feeling like like in them situations when it comes to poverty, a lot of people could do things to make the neighborhood better that it wouldn't be as easy to gentrify it. But filthy houses, filthy streets, trash can on the curb every day instead of just the trash days, trash blowing down the street. Always people living in small driveways, packing 6 or 7 cars, killing the grass. People with multiple relationships under one roof and getting into it. Women trying to be a good mother, but got grown ass men living in their house with drugs and different things coming in and out and fighting and shootouts and ops and anyways, that skipped too fast. Influencers, dream selling, and soft life illusions. Individuals who sell dream wealth and soft life fantasies make money off millions by packaging emotional escape as insight. The wild part is that the influencers are often selling the same dream for their audience as they're trying to live. Both parties may be spending money to create an image, but one side profits from the longing of the other. A lot of industries don't need you healed, they need you emotionally hungry. And that is why social media works so hard to be able to engage people 24 hours. They were losing their mind when content wasn't keeping people on as long as they wanted to. And once they saw that monetization made so many regular people with talent get on social media, so now the attention for social media is scattered throughout, even if it's small channels with 500 600 subscribers, that person is keeping people entertained enough to keep coming back, especially when it comes to things about events and things like that, because not only are they able to make money for that event, they're able to pitch deals with other companies and say, "Hey, look, we got all these views over here. Give us some ad revenue." That's why you have not only sponsored ads but actual ads. And poverty image culture. That's crazy. Did the slide switch up again? This why growth becomes difficult around dysregulated people. Emotionally dysregulated people in a person's life can make growth difficult or impossible. They do not believe there is a world outside of their own perspective. They assume everyone knows what they know and should value what they value. They often maintain toxic environments for comfort. They are unsafe for deep connection because outsiders can influence them against you with the right pressure, reward, or insecurity trigger. Wherever they are stuck is often where they try to keep others. And a lot of people think it's this sinister thing, like they trying to hold you back. It's a psychological thing. These people are not consciously living. It's in their programming. Their programming is sensing a threat to whatever community you're a part of by being dysregulated with them. And when you switch off from that, their brain detects that the connection is either dying or lost. And that is why they behave in the manner that they behave in. But if you get to a point where you see that it's a repeat thing, it is imperative for you to begin some type of self introduction to figure out what is your connection to that. Not as far as right or wrong, because there are some situations where both parties are right. There are some situations where both parties are wrong. So but whether that is or not, it's not like there is this golden scoreboard that hovers over our head like some stats on a video game to with how many times you were right and how many times other people were wrong. If the person matters enough, like people used to matter to me, I used to be more focused about how can we be stronger than this issue. But other people were so busy on the right versus wrong that it became a me versus them instead of a us versus a issue. And that's always been my belief with very healthy connections is it's always us versus the issue. You can't be my ally if it's ever us versus us. That's not no ally shit. And but I mean, people be projecting the way they live. If they was like that with their siblings, if their parents was hating on them or abusive, like you literally get people overflow of what other people did to them. That's it. Which is so funny because it's that simple, but it's really not. Friendships aging and social panic. When they get into their 30s and beyond, they often begin to panic. Cynicism grows. Friendship breakups become more frequent. And if they fall out with people who have grown, there is often no repairing the relationship. This can make emotionally unregulated people become a Venus flytrap for connection. They use every avenue to connect with people, but it often begin new bonds by complaining about the old ones. Whenever they vent, it's always about how they were done wrong, not what they did. And that's one of the biggest telling things when you first meet a person. Whatever if whatever category you filling in for, when they get to telling you about the previous people, you already know something's up. But it is always positioned in a way that because with them they so manipulative, they're staring in your face and laughing close to you and grabbing like it's funny because they're trying to see every reaction you have, and every time you give positive reinforcement that tells them to go further, and if you give any pushback they already have an excuse ready or already have a pivot point to switch to. And ownership feels painful to the unregulated. It is very hard for emotionally unregulated people to take ownership. It's almost as if they feel a form of physical pain when they realize they messed up. And they probably do because the some of the people I've seen when ownership has attempted to happen with them, they reacted like if it was a repo truck and it was a brand new Mercedes or something. They will forever blame past and present situations that have no bearing on the category that the issue is in. Like if y'all talking about them always being late to stuff, they're gonna bring up something completely unrelated about maybe you not replying to a text or you missing a phone call or something stupid. They will forever blame past and present situations. When retirement comes and they're broke, they will blame what everyone else blamed. They will not own all the money they stole, squandered, wasted, and took for granted. They will not own the years spent in dead situations. They will not own the lies they told because their emotions are at the center of their universe. Truth is always being repriced. I've seen too many people who wasn't in control with how many kids they had, and as long as they had to be a parent, their children was holding them back. And children, adults, years pass, the excuse then switch back to, oh, the opportunity window closed because the children held them back. But when the children was there, it was, oh, I can't wait till they gone so that I can start doing this, and this. So, that's why, like, I know that excuses are matter in certain situations, but excuses are being it's excuses is like a number one song on the radio. It's a number one song, but you tired of hearing it after a while because every time you turn on the radio, you hear it, and that's what excuses feel like because people that's all people give is excuses. I literally could just be existing, and someone somewhere just turned around and just start telling me an excuse about something that I didn't even ask for. It's like like, are y'all okay? But the answer is no. I know that. Like that, I would be an idiot to really ask that as an actual question. And it's amazing to me. It really is. And the cost of a reactive life, a dysregulated life is expensive. It costs relationships, and people will never own that. It's always going to be whatever it is. If they have friendship trouble, it's going to be that no one is a friend. If it's a relationship trouble, it's every man or woman cheats. If it's family connection, it's all families are bad. No, it's just your family's bad. It's okay that you have a bad family and they have toxic ways, but It costs opportunities, it costs jobs, it costs peace, money, safety, credibility, years, especially safety. And then people be thinking because they got a Glock that they protected on any block, but it's like it makes bullets. It don't stop bullets. The person may think they are protecting themselves by reacting, defending, projecting, and blaming, but in reality, they are paying compound interest on every unhealed part of themselves. And there's nothing more embarrassing than being in public and someone you are connected to is an emotionally unregulated person. They causing scenes because somebody skipped y'all in line. They causing scenes because they feel like the person took the other people order faster. Everything is a damn scene. I've rode in a car as a driver and had unemotionally regulated passengers, and these gutter snipes have tried to launch projectiles at other people's cars for cutting me off or doing different things. Granted, I'm still pushing it. I'm not even tripping because on the road it's a bunch of random people going places, and it's already known that people do not like that there are many unlicensed drivers on the road. It's also obvious that many people clearly have crippling anxiety to the point that they should not be driving, and people still allow them to drive. So that's a given, and that's something that is always going to be on the road. If I act shocked every time I get on the road and people are doing the same stuff, then I'm just going to be in a simulation too, because it's already obvious that people can't drive. I'm just getting more and more shocked at how the stuff I see. I'm seeing things done on the road that I've never seen before. People making turns I ain't never thought of, stuff like that, with a cell phone in their hand. But that's in a different video. Thanks to you people with cell phones, the shit that they doing to the newer cars, y'all could thank y'all for it. Even because now they have an excuse to do it. They've been had the technology, but y'all have made it so much easier. Even though I wasn't planning on getting no brand new car ever again either, though. I kind of like 2010s and earlier. The positive path, how to regulate and reclaim your life. But regulation is learnable. That is the good news. Emotional regulation is not becoming less human. It's becoming human on purpose. It's pausing before reacting. It is correctly naming what you feel. It is separating memory from present reality, asking what facts are, noticing patterns of only instances, learning boredom tolerance, disappointment, criticism, and solitude tolerance. It is leaving environments that profit from your dysregulation. Baby, if y'all left environments that profited from y'all dysregulation, y'all wouldn't have too many that y'all frequent anymore because damn near all of them. Ones that serve alcohol, any place that have alcohol is poor playing on the fact that people who are drinkers tend to drink a lot. Like it's actually less common than not for people to overdrink. Like the actual recommended serving size of alcohol, y'all wouldn't even believe it if I told you. Shout out to my liquor license. But yeah, no, like it's or like when it comes to celebrity things, like they be playing in people's faces because now what they do, all of them different artists that have stands. I don't know if y'all noticed this, but when I look at events, because I'm always looking at the full calendar for the cities I'm in or the city I live in, like full calendar for events, not just one category, not just art, not just music. And when I tell you on any given week, it's always some type of Taylor Swift or Beyonce or Nicki Minaj event, and it's not even nothing official. It's just them playing music, but they know that people love them so much that they could charge whatever, get buku money, and it's literally free money because all you playing is one artist. You don't even have to worry about a DJ. You could put a shuffle playlist to DJ. You just save hundreds of dollars on DJ. The people are already gonna come and be turned. Then the fact that there's other people there that like that same artist is almost like a church session because it's guaranteed, almost guaranteed safety because typically in them stand bases, nobody's gonna show up to their events and be weird. I mean, unless it's gonna be like a gang war or something. But that is the see why I be pausing is because sometimes when I stop and switch the screen, it scrolls like it moves where I was at. Learn your patterns. before the world does. What the world already knows your patterns. That is why I see emotional regulation as one of the greatest discoveries of my life. It taught me that feelings and logic both have voices, but I only have one mouth. So now I try to make sure the mouth is not always working for the loudest voice in the room. Sometimes the loudest voices fear, ego, shame, envy, pain dressed as wisdom. Emotional regulation taught me to stop giving every internal voice equal authority. And that is the real challenge. Learn your emotional patterns before somebody else does, because if you do not, the world will. And also, people who have been in abusive connections, all of the categories, because for whatever reason, the average internet person brain always think relationship, relationship, relationship. Baby, first of all, everybody is not centered like y'all are. But when you in those kind of connections, those people have already learned you. But that's the thing. Even unconscious people can know your habits. They just won't identify them in a psychological manner. They would identify them in a, if I slam the door, that's gonna make her order DoorDash because she always order cookies whenever she upset. Versus a psychological way would say that triggering her, like scaring her, giving her a jump scare is gonna trigger her anxiety, and anxiety makes her buy snacks. It's the same story, but it's just two different ways of seeing it. So people, even people who not into psychology or emotional regulation, they notice different things. That's why for people who know beggars, not the street beggars, but real life beggars, that whenever they asking you for stuff, they always talk in this high pitched voice. Even if it's a dude, the voice be completely different, or they conversation be completely different. That's them thinking, using what work on regular people, thinking that you're gonna take all of this random praise and be like, "You want to borrow $1,000 even though you never made more than $50? Here you go, thank you." But yeah, that was it. Y'all have a good one.
Like, comment, and subscribe to J New Orleans.